All right, one series down on the day, one more to go. Of course, there is side streams for all the other matches if you need a little bit more Valorant fix. But as for here, up next, Shopify Rebellion Gold going up against Nightblood Gaming. Both of these teams, Dan, last week, maybe not necessarily going their way, but I still think that both did play some really good Valorant. So I'm quite excited for this matchup.
Yeah, I am really excited. It should be a good matchup. Maybe a big contrast to what we just saw, that really fast 2-0. I feel like this one is one that could go the distance. These two teams, they have never played each other in the past, but it is a Shopify Rebellion that we love talking about, we love seeing, but in Nightblood as well, that I think deserves some attention as we're still getting to know these teams because of the players and the performances as of recently. You said it, yeah, maybe not last match, but these offseason tournaments, the challenges that we had last year, and them individually are like Boy, for example, is one of them that I remember the best.
And Nightblood Gaming, talking about them first, this was a team that we were introduced to in that stage 3 that maybe they didn't get to go quite the distance that they wanted, considering that we did see Rankers and YFP in that same tournament. But it was a Nightblood Gaming that I thought quite impressed. I'm really glad to see that we got the team back together for the most part. And I think that they have some really strong pieces here that you're talking about a more underdog team or an upset team. I think this is it.
Yeah, I definitely agree that they have the potential there for sure. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of grow together throughout the rest of this season and whatnot with the swaps that had gone through for this roster, looking towards a limb coming in or sorry, not a limb, but Sogo actually making the exit from the team and whatnot. But overall, I think that Dan hit the nail on the head. I think the storyline is that it is going to be a much closer run. I do think that this is another kind of like underdogs being pitted together in
Mhm.
this particular matchup. But I'm curious to see how they're going to continue to perform. At the same time, having kind of like that floor as the baseline puts a little bit less pressure on your shoulders going into a new season because there aren't necessarily those expectations that you're having to hit and kind of relive.
I mean, I'm looking at the members of this team as, there's futures here. So even if maybe at the team we're kind of like, okay, well, it can only go up. I'm looking at these individual performances as and someone that we did get to see last week, Dan, talking first about Elim. Elim, I think just overall, like it was a decently close match at some points. And Elim definitely put his foot down, got to work, and was one of the reasons that the match was as close as it was at some points.
Yeah, like you said, it was a 2-1 against YFP, and yeah, they don't win that much, but we got to see some individual really great moments on the side of a limb, playing that Neon, and also playing a little bit of that Yuri that we've been talking about throughout today. But I think in general is one of those topics that is going to be main topic of conversation as of recently with the meta change. We saw this Euro being played on Abyss and on Vine and Pearl, they're running with the Neon. So they're changing and going for the comfort of this duelist, and it has a good potential. The Neon has always been viable. I think 100 Thieves proved it in VCT Americas. Just having like Astronaut run it down, and I think it also plays well with the tempos of the new meta that we're seeing with the Tejo, things that are slowed down and you want to play it fast, and you have a Neon that is comfortable in it, and a Neon that likes to do exactly that, and a support on the side that is able to set you up for success as well. And it seems like you're pretty much set for it.
I mean, if you want to talk about flashy plays, we could talk about the flashes and talk about initiator on this team, Cass. Ash, this was someone that during stage 3, I was thoroughly impressed with. And last week as well, even without a loss, still showing up where it counted.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a similar conversation to almost what we were talking about last matchup between Rankers and Burger Boyz with Pop, and the fact that Kess is able to show up, frag out, while also being able to support a limb and get those trades down. That's why you're seeing that success, and the ACS that he's popping off with, and
Yeah.
the KD that he's able to throw out there. Is he has that utility, and then he's going to get that second frag to ensure that trade goes out if a limb does fall.
Yeah, and with how well this team has been performing together since stage 3 and the fact they've been able to kind of expand off of this and Kess being a big part of that as well, I'm excited to see them going on in for today's series, going up against a team that I know you two could talk for ages about. We don't have that time, so let's hit the main points. Shopify Rebellion Gold. Dan is a loss last week. It was so close though. And still, I'm looking forward to a really good match coming out of them today because, I mean, the gold's there for a reason. They've gotten that gold. They've definitely deserved it.
You talked about the pressure that the teams feel right now, being both a little bit of the underdogs and challengers in general, but this Shopify Rebellion Gold, they have a lot of pressure on their shoulders. Everybody's keeping an eye on what this team is able to do just because they made history, and nobody else has been in the situation where they are right now. And sure, like you said, that first match didn't go their way, but it was really close. I'm still thinking about that Pearl. I'm still thinking about some of these ideas that they were introducing because they have this core that has been together for so long, and sometimes that is what is winning teams some specific rounds, where the communication has to be fast, the communication has to be on point, and then you have this core where you've nailed down this communication to close out the rounds. And you have it in Dodo, you have it obviously in Mel as the IGL, but every single one of the players can do it too. I'm excited to see what the map pool is going to look like, and if we're going to be starting to see a little bit more of these modern compositions being introduced by Shopify Rebellion Gold. I think a lot of them have potential to do so. Like on one side, you want to have Sarah continue to play this Sova that she does so well, but at the same time, I'm like, come on, a Tejo, maybe a little, like
maybe it would be cool. It would be cool. But you talked about the core, so we have to talk about that one piece that is different, Dodo Nut, who last week, obviously they brought her on. They felt good about bringing her on to this roster. And Ash, last week we really got to see Dodo Nut perform and really prove why, hey, she deserves to be that 5th place at the puzzle, stepping in these humongous shoes that Fluorescent left behind.
Absolutely, landing well within the top 10 ACS players within the first week of this split, right? And it's all about those expectations when it comes to, the conversation around Shopify Rebellion Gold, and Dodo Nut has been able to step up. There were a lot of concerns about not her performance, but how that kind of shifts like the identity of SRG. And I do think it does open up that opportunity for everyone else to have those star-studded plays. But Dodo is fitting really well in with the chemistry of this team. Honestly, her integration has seemed flawless so far.
Yeah, and I love that you talk about, too, how the team would look without Fluorescent and maybe how that would be with Dodo Nut instead. But I feel like we've gotten to see all the players really be able to step up and more into their own, now given the opportunity. So next up, we got to talk about Sarah, because Sarah is someone that maybe we don't necessarily get to talk about quite as often as the other players. But Dan, that's truly a shame because Sarah just crushes it out there.
She's so good, and I like that the picture that we have for her is Sova, because she is Sova. Like, you guys wouldn't get it. She is Sova. The way that she sets up the team for success is insane, and I think it's just because she's a little bit more quiet. Like, we don't really get to hear from her that often compared to the rest of the squad, but she is always there. Underrated player for sure, and one of the key pieces that have helped the Shopify Rebellion team have success, whether it's game changers or in the qualifiers. I want to see more of her, and I think we're going to continue to see more of her flashy plays and the Sova and the use of utility that has been on point for Dodo.
One of those silent killers that you can really scream from the rooftops of how skilled she is. So love to see more from her, and I'm excited that our head-to-head featuring for today is going to be featuring her up against Kess, who we spoke so highly about as well. So I think that's going to be really interesting, Ash, considering that normally the initiators scans, you don't necessarily highlight them quite as often. It's always about the duelists, but I feel like that head-to-head there, as well as the impact, would be really interesting.
Yeah, and it's really important too, considering the roles that they're playing here as well. There's a little bit of a variety when you're looking towards Kess as far as what initiators is pulling out, and then Sarah's going to be on that mainstay recon on the Sova, which that kind of tells you a little bit of the story about some of the differences in stats as well. When Kess is mostly going to be playing that flash initiator that's following alongside that duelist, he's going to be there for those frags. Sarah ends up sitting back a little bit more, being like more of that like 3rd or 4th entry into sight, if anything. But her support is duly noted, and you'll see her more often in some of those clutch situations. But that's not saying that Kess can't pull off some of those of his own, though.
Yeah, it's a big difference in how they choose to play that, but I think that'll be really, really fun. And even if the stats on one end aren't quite as high, Sarah's like ice cold blood in her veins. Like, she's got it down pat. So that'll be especially fun heading into things. Now, as we have our map picks and bans ready, to see where this battleground is going to be taking place. We highlighted that we think this one's going to be pretty close. And Dan, we're going to be kicking it off. Shopify's pick for Haven yet again.
Interesting map pool. I mentioned the Pearl specifically because this is one where there were a lot of great ideas actually coming through from Mel on that last match they played last week when they played against Transcend Plug, rather. So it's one that I want to see because there's a chance they can take it 2-0. Abyss, though, gives us that opportunity once again to see exactly what we were talking about. Is there going to be new things, new ideas, new compositions? Even really for both sides, it can be one of the changes that you do from week 1 to week 2. We've seen it in VCT. We've seen it already for a few of the Challengers teams that they did even throughout of last year. So there's a chance they can do it now. It seems like the meta is constantly changing right now.
Especially right now with this Deho. It was such a big staple and highlight in last week. So far, we haven't seen it quite as much today, but hopefully a change now into today's series. But before we get into the agent selects, our predictions for today, which I feel really guilty about, I'm not gonna lie, but Ash is right there with me. So yeah, I had to go Nightblood. I think their series was so close, and I would be happy with either team winning here, Dan, honestly.
I think Shopify Rebellion is winning this match too, actually. So it's slightly different.
I like the double down.
They're winning today.
The double down. All right, Ash, you're with me. We're in the minority here, but still on the Nightblood Gaming side here. So
I'm not gonna lie, after seeing the map pool though, if I could change my prediction live, low-key, I would.
Okay.
I think no matter what, it is going to be a really, really close series, but Haven has consistently always been one of Shopify's best maps. And I love the point that Dan was pulling out about Pearl. They looked so good. Like, I was in awe when I was watching them in their qualifying game. It's like insane the micro plays that they're throwing out there. Lexi had an incredible map. Her impact on that map was absolutely insane on that KO as well. I don't know. I think it's gonna be close. I can see the 2-0 happening.
You guys are making me regret.
Yes.
All right. I need to sit down and think about my life for a second as we head over to our agent select. So we're pivoting on Haven, our first map of the series here. So Ash, expectations, Haven, with our agents in mind.
Oh, expectations with Haven in mind. I think that, Shopify Rebellion Gold, no surprise with what we're seeing out there. It's just the bread and butter Haven composition. Nothing too spicy, but Nightblood Gaming is where it gets interesting. You've got that Yoru ISO composition coming out from them, and we saw the power that had that is going to make it a little bit more difficult for Dodonut to kind of post up with that operator as well if Nightblood can counter her positioning well.
I just love that we get to see Fireball Ops on the ISO, considering normally we see Sentinel gameplay from him. So double duelist going up against the tried and true. It's time to head into Haven, map 1 of the series, and back over to Nerds and Levin.
We've got an absolute banger to wrap up our day heading into Haven. A repeat of the map for sure, but this is the map pick of Shopify Rebellion Gold, and they're on the win streak when it comes to this.
They are. And and we talked about how Nightblood Gaming, right? They've been on a little bit of a loss streak. So I decided, all right, let's do some digging. This is not the comp that we've been seeing out of Nightblood Gaming. This is a change. And the loss streak happened in Tier 3 Fun Haver tournaments. So going into Challengers, this adaptation, I'm kind of getting excited for the head-to-head between these two teams. It kind of does remind me of Rankers, the Yoru and the ISO combo here. But then again, it worked. So we got to see both these teams and how they develop, how Mel's going to be calling around this change, and if Nightblood Gaming is truly going to be able to surpass their loss streak with this change in composition.
Still looking to see how Dodonut inserts into this team without Fluorescent. And this is already a team that's had to pivot more to a jet style compared to the Neon, and of course different patches and whatnot, but see how successful Shopify Rebellion Gold can be as they already got closed off of B because of smokes, and they have someone lurking around, Dodo Nut over at C Long, but will have to surpass all the Senti util. And Boy is trying to play out logs, and no one checks that, but Dodo Nut will still respond. NBG have 2 on site, and it's just Fireball on the ISO with no util, a ghost, and the paranoia to close things out, but still Fireball was able to spit back before Noya goes in for the kill.
Nice little split. Good call out of Mel to go, away from B and down in, because you already have Dodo Nut pushed up into long, so supporting them and playing more coordinated works out. Very classic SRG strats here coming out for them. And I'm excited to see, right? Because I was there when they made history, when they managed to push over the edge and get into Challengers. And now it's how they perform in Challengers that is the question. And they didn't start off on the best foot. So now that they started off this map on a better foot, brings me a little bit of confidence, a little bit of hope.
Yeah, Fireball really impressed me last week when it came to Nightblood's match. Just what they were able to do, especially on the deadlock, when it came to bind and just the solo plays, being able to use that util to draw people into an advantageous duel for him. So looking forward to seeing now on a more selfish role, I should say, on the ISO, what they can do in the fragging department. But for Shopify Rebellion Gold, it's hard to pick a superstar. They are all deadly in their own right. And now SRG have already been pushed off from their A main road and will pivot towards their C lurk with Noya.
Good pivot. I mean, they would have to go through the double duelist setup here. Nice proactivity out of Nightblood. They have Sova being sent down. They're going to try to play, I wouldn't even say to play to contain here, but play for this retake and fight together. It's gonna be so hard with worse off weaponry, right? Like this entry, like how do they re-enter? Are we just playing to die off the spike? Is that the MO?
Looks like NBG are really pre-aiming right now. Now the smokes are gone, waiting for SRG to peek, and Mel and Noya on Sarah all converge at once. That's the type of teamwork that this core of SRG have. And Dodo Nut is a veteran of the game changer scene. She is no stranger to these girls. And I just knew off the bat, once they got that week 1 match out of the way, they knew that was winnable, by the way. It was so close. The sky's the limit to what these girls can achieve.
That was a flawless round by Shopify Rebellion Gold as well. So they carry in a lot of weaponry. And we're starting to see, Noya farming up their ultimate. 5-0 has not died yet. So you have yourself building some of these crucial ultimates early on. And on the flip side, you do have fireball ops as well. But you have a lot more that you can play off of and Mel can call off of with the Noya ultimate, with that girl theft.
So some suppression and no answer back. So SRG just not revealing their position because of that. So already called for a backup from Fireball. And now the Yoru clone from Alum gets called back. And NBG still hold on to map control and hope to pinch from both sides as SRG entered the B site, have smoked off both sides. And there's already some action before the spike can get planted. But thankfully, Alexis got it off in time, but maybe you really needed her presence in these gunfights. Sarah holds off as much as she can, leaving Alexis to play from main. And smoked off, she can just play off the sound cue and fault line in, already causing some movement, and manages to get a 1v1 with Boy. Hyun, last one left, swings carefully, and Alexis stays cool.
What a conversion for Shopify Rebellion Gold. Working their way into the B site. Alexis clean. I mean, we talked about this core being a veteran core, not only from GC, but managing to push over the edge. And now we get to see it in action here. It's coming alive for the Golden Squad. They're shining brilliantly. And I'm just excited to see how they're going to continue with it. On the flip side, NBG, they got it really close, but just a little bit tight. Like, honestly, if they were a little tighter there, I feel like the re-swing out of Hyun would have been a lot cleaner and they could have won it. Right? It just came down to that wire. Dodo, what an opening.
She was incredible at Spotlight. I got to meet her in person, so humble, like first times on a global stage, and she absolutely killed it. I think there was like a voice line or a sound clip of somebody from Cloud9 saying, Dodo Nut's cracked. Like, she's crazy, and looking forward to seeing more of her on now such a stacked team. Because from FlyQuest, you knew there was so much more to her, and SRG already off to a 5 versus 2 start, but with the weaponry upgrade, another bucket up close and personal. I thought Hyun was going to be able to at least get away with 1, and we're heading towards possibly another flawless round.
President Noya just absolutely doing the best job so far. The lurks remind me of Inspire, and like they inspire me to say that Noya, I when I saw them previously and how impactful they were against, you know, Fun Havers to qualify into this, and seeing them now, this is the Noya that we remember. That's why I put them as my prediction, because it was like, you know, this Trust and Plug was just a warm-up. It was just the amuse-bouche for this amazing course of a meal that we're going to be seeing out of them. And a well-needed timeout out of Nightblood Gaming. Just going to be fixing up some of those problems, like how are they going to play in terms of their tactics. I mean, they had a pretty solid pistol. They got it fairly even out of all of the chaos. I feel like you need to be a little bit more active, kind of like that rankers mentality of taking some space with a composition like this. When you have the double duelists, you have to be a bit more active.
And this Nightblood team centers itself a lot around Alum and his playstyle, especially around the Neon, the Yoru. So those are the maps you're going to see. Of course, this is SRG's pick. So with Yoru, you're really playing this front to back, and you got to be able to read those clones. It's just another day at the office for a team like SRG, and specifically why they go to this map. You look at the leader of SRG, Mel, not only is incredibly intelligent at the game, but studies her opponent, knows the weaknesses inside out, will watch every match. So Nightblood Gaming got to kind of reinvent the wheel. They got to kill Contract, Fireball. You can't miss, literally. This has to be executed upon.
Rolling yourself a really high roll there. Find the nat 20 and send the Fireball down flying, right? Yeah. And with their ultimate, with some of the ultimates coming online for the flip side, that's what we're going to try and be, you know, seeing here out of Nightblood Gaming. Already a change of pace, getting more active into A main, solo out of Yoru, but still the TP set for the C play. Maybe trying to funnel them in almost and like, hey, come B, come C.
Fake teleport.
Information given to SRG because that recon wasn't shot right away. They knew. Now SRG knows there's the Senti on the left side of the map, but you don't know what's in Garage. And that's where Noya will be creeping around very soon. She'll have ears, but Alum closes down A main. This is going to be a perilous round now for SRG, already being down 2. But having Alexis with flashes, that's your bread and butter. If she's not dropping 15, 20 assists, there's a problem. But you're losing fraggers for this offense, and the road can't stop here. SRG will be smoked off, and they're going to try and be as quiet as they can. And they'll have the site for free because no one's there.
But it's almost like a trap, considering you have so many players left up, and Fireball Ops is close enough with that ultimate in their pocket that they could deny the plant rather quickly the moment they hear it. The timing is there for NBG.
Site clear. SRG have a Hunter's Fury, but that also sort of puts you out of action when you use that in a 2 versus 5. It's tough. Now you try to go for a proactive play. Sarah goes 1 for 1. Better late than never. Now it's all up to Alexis. Gets away from the flash. Another one. And turns and burns on Fireball. Alum is injured. Boy is on the way. And they're just doing this 1 by 1. But because Alexis shied away, it's NBG that get the defuse.
Good retake. They keep themselves up in the game, converting off the timeout here. Now we're starting to get spicy. They got proactive into A, and you see Alum, we were talking about this player, like we're building around them, and they thrive. Fighting in A main, finding 2 super early on. I love that we have the replay perfectly to highlight this point, and that's how you want to be playing. So again, sort of like that rankers mentality of you have really strong solo individual players, let them shine, put them in positions to succeed, and hopefully they don't crumble. And in this case, they don't. Nightblood Gaming picking up the first, converting off the timeout.
Good starting point for NBG to get back on their feet. Dimensional drip. Okay, everyone's still in spawn. And the Hunter's Fury from Kess to knock down these pins. Go for a strike. It works out. Get a kill and even some damage on Noya. And Noya was trying to suss out where the rest of NBG were, especially where that dimensional drift, and SRG just stand and deliver. They haven't even moved from spawn. and they were already able to get an advantage member-wise early in this round.
And I will say, previously on the other round, Mel fell down early, but Mel's alive in here. So not only with the numbers advantage, you have ultimate stacked, Mel being alive and active, allowing them to call and make sure that, all right, we could take SRG across the line. That's going to be a huge component to it. Yes, smoked off. They're not going to be able to find much here.
Depends if they want to shoot a recon.
That's expensive if they shoot the recon, because it's better for the retake. But assume.
Your retake's already here, you would think, but now the spike, not the spike, but yeah, the spike did get planted, but the smoke dropped. Had to get away from that line of sight, wants backup, and Kes could have had a real moment to unload with the Odin, but the timing, the sync wasn't there. NBG would rather play together than take too many risks. Kes dropping down, the Goomba stomp, no! Noya denies, and NBG have started their break-in with the Hunter's Fury off of Sarah, trying to see where Boy is, and there's a big finish for SRG.
And just layers of SRG utility. We have, again, Sarah, like you mentioned, with the Hunter's Fury, whether it's necessary for a clutch scenario or just to allow the rest of the team to play on that site. It's so solid out of the up. Tech pause coming through here. Perfect time to dive in, I think, a little bit deeper into how SR was able to capitalize off that. Again, Mel being able to call off it. We saw Kes popping their Hunter's Fury early in the round, knocking down Dodonut and taking them down a notch. But the pivot out of SRG is truly what allowed them to win there. They managed to reclaim some heads, and more than that, take the A site, one of the harder sites to retake in Valorant without substantial ultimates.
And I think NBG are having a wobbly start, but this is a team that you have to respect. Finished third place in playoffs in stage 3 last year. And this is a team that really showed up last week as well. So it's a weird start for sure, but of course, they'll be able to talk things through. And they have a bunch of ultimates. Still waiting for that kill contract. I'm excited to see if we can get a good impression of Kane Zera out there, but
I would hope so. I mean, they didn't need it for the previous round. It was just more of like they had it in their back pocket. And Fireball Ops is pretty good on the shots, so we're seeing them popping off in these cases. We'd like to continue to see them. It's just a matter of when are we going to be inserting it? How are we going to play around it? And you've got, obviously it's a tech pause, but it's got to break some of the momentum of SRG. NBG did have a timeout. They've changed up some of their protocols. How and in what, more than how, like they need to change up yet again. Because SRG, one thing that they're very solid on is to continue to adapt against their opponents. No matter what the situation calls for, Mel is able to adapt to their opponent a little faster.
And you see that NBG are trying to work on these sync issues, like the fact that Kes waited at the top window where any other Sova player, recon, spray through the Odin. It's pretty safe, you can back up, but just not having the confidence to go for that and really wanting to make sure that we live and die as a team. And maybe wanting your IGL or someone else to be there with you to play off of that recon is also a great call. But once NBG have the sync down, right? And they can shoot back, of course, at Shopify Rebellion Gold, this will be a completely different map.
I'm gonna have to agree. It's a matter of their timings and coordination. SRG, they've been a core that's played for a very long time, so they're not even gonna have these sync issues. But with this tech pause still underway, I wonder how this is gonna affect SRG.
Well, it's affecting our lobby for sure. We do have to throw to a quick break to make sure everything is okay, so we'll see you after this. Welcome back, everyone, to Challengers North America Week 2, Match 2, NBG, SRG. Still a banger. Still 5-1, though. Still looking for an answer from NBG.
I mean, we're going to have to see some of the retakes. We're going to have to see what this pause has in store for them. And something that, I mean, I really wanted to bring off the start of this is the proactivity Alim had in round number 4, where they managed to push up into A. And being that sort of duelist, the eggster, the ranked mentality of having the firepower within you to sort of break up SRG's clinical playstyle.
An Ares buy from Kess too, but that's over at B, and NBG are stacking the center of the map, leaving A completely open. You kind of have to gamble that with the weaponry that NBG have. They have to at least aim for trades, but with this Ares just slicing down the middle of the map, this did some significant damage to SRG, but that also revealed NBG's position, where SRG capitalized and got that first blood and fireball ops down to 2. So we're definitely not seeing that kill contract this round. SRG being proactive. Does NBG want to prevent the plant? They already heard the orb get tapped, and what a turn and burn from Alum. Will they be able to take up that weapon? They did not. Didn't have the space to do so. NBG should have really been aggressive catching SRG at the heel, and they're still scrapping away. It's a 2v2. But again, Fireball has to be the bait, and unfortunately it's the last one left. While Kess has fallen. Kill contract 1v1, sure. Alexis versus Fireball with the ball HP and just choked and fumbled, and Alexis the last one to end it for SRG.
Okay, but immediately it's a change of pace, right? Immediately we see a speed up on the retakes. Alim getting immense value, honestly, by peeking out of CT and managing to find the first off on it. And yeah, they did lose in the end, but they took a lot of weapons out. Some of the morale is back in their step. For Nightblood here, we need to see more of this with weaponry and with utility. When they have the economy to back themselves up, I feel like that's going to be a huge momentum shift in their favor.
Some light shield buys too from NBG's side. Allen with the op will be at C. Won't be seeing that as SRG are moving up through A main and got hit by a fault line, and that was to maybe set up a play for Fireball, and does get traded. So SRG not shy away. They still have Alexis, so they still have hope with a flash in hand and even a recon, and Kess is just gonna freely peek. So we wanted to see more confidence out of NBG. Felt like they were giving so much space in the last round. When they had a leg up, they just gave it up to SRG. And now NBG are fighting with a lot more thought in mind.
Rotate. And just to mention, Mel's still alive. Noya leading in frags, still up at it for SRG. But a freshly renewed at Nightblood. Nightblood is, they're out for blood because they're fighting a lot closer together. They have that sort of, we need to stick together, play together, and just shoot them back mentality that worked so well for rankers previously on this map. And they're running their comp, so it's working amazingly.
I like this call from SRG to go for a B site because you're facing an op, and this is the most awkward place to play an op. But off the flash, NBG try to jump in, but into the loving arms of Noya that sends them right back where they came from.
Just like jaw agape, Lemon, for me, because that was beautiful. And, you know, when you have this sort of chemistry lab and you're making sure everything's clinical and a fire starts brewing and players start getting into different places, you have protocols to put those fires down. Mel calling immensely in that moment to just have the rotates, allow Noya to cook through, and just, this is just pure clinical play style out of Noya.
There's just a lot of pressure, I feel like, on Shopify Rebellion Gold's shoulders since they made history. Everyone is watching them to see how they will perform, and especially post-fluorescent era. And so far, the leader of Mel assures them this could be a round to win. And look at that retaliation from SRG to the read to catch NBG pushing up through A short. And now this round is already cooked for NBG, and the streak most likely to continue for SRG.
I just want to point out the assist line on that. Everyone's participating on SRG's side. just it's a team, it's collective effort here. Just going to show how strong this core has been. For NBG, on the flip side, I mean, they've showed moments of brilliance, but those moments keep getting overshadowed.
Oh my
and look at the
God.
timing Alexis just grabs on Hyun as well.
Valorant timing. I was like, yeah, Hyun could definitely just punish an overeager player with the Bucky that they had, and then turns away the second an opponent comes around the corner. Could not be any more unlucky than that, but it was going to be a one and done anyway. But
Oh, man. And this starts putting into question, right? NBG, Nightblood, they're going for a different composition that they played previously on a map that they are historically, or at least in recent history, not the strongest on. So seeing this sort of, it makes a little bit of sense. SRG has historically been amazing on Haven. For NBG, I want to see the synergy between Alim and Kess. Fireball Ops is really solid on their own. We've seen them pop off as well. So the coordination just needs to be a little stronger there.
Here.
Oh. The op in hand. Oh, I cursed it.
and this is why you got to be scared shooting through smokes against SRG, because now you've revealed sort of your position, and they will shoot back, and look at the damage. Alum will regret that and manages to get out with the op, and Hyun left behind, and now doesn't feel like they could escape, not without the teleport, and does so. That gives the indication for SRG to get away with a safe plan.
I mean, Allen with the op, they're on low HP. They have the 5v4 retake, so let's see this retake protocol. Speed it up, get in their faces, get aggressive here, like the rankers, like the rank mentality of go shoot, go kill. Oh, but Alexis has this counter to the stop, to the
Fire
firepower.
recon. Now the Rolling Thunder, and SRG tried to predict through the back door, but NBG wanted to take their time to maybe play off the recon. Everyone stack on Kess, and it's the drop down and off the ISO shield. Fireball almost gets an ace, and that is the NBG we saw from last week. Put all the eggs in the Fireball basket. They'll probably be burnt, but in a good way.
Hey, but you know what? They weren't cracked by the Rolling Thunder. And that is realistically what kind of made it, or I just basically made it for Nightblood here. They got ahead of the Rolling Thunder, were cognizant of it, and managed to take SRG by surprise, dropping down from heaven. It got me kind of butterflies in my stomach when I saw it. I was like, oh, how is this going to play out? And it plays out beautifully for Nightblood. Now, SR, Shopify Rebellion Gold, they're going up against 4 ultimates stacked up. A win on a retake here. We start to see some of these gaps being filled in. Another op here. Alim, I want to see one of these shots land. Cass already found one on the other side of the map.
Just spraying through smoke, by the way. That's how Kess got it. And this time, SRG just didn't have the members to suppress that. So now Hyun with first blood, and we got second blood going for NBG. Holding their positions. SRG getting no ground, no space, no map control, but Dodonut starts to make her way through C-Site, and there will be trips through the cages. It'll be hard to spot. And she takes her time, gets the one tap, and boy, cleans up that kill. But there is more to worry around the corner. It's Alexis in a 1v3. She's been in these scenarios before, but there is a player from behind. Alexis has her knife out. Unfortunate. Who expects someone to be there? Especially a team like NBG. They haven't gone for flanks like that yet.
Last round before the switch.
Oh. Nightblood is starting to make a competitive. 5 ultimates on the 12th round of the half. 8-4 would be really solid for them for NBG. Shopify on the flip side, they are still relatively comfortable here. It's their map. They're very coordinated on it. And we've just seen just a pace change out of Nightblood, and it's been working.
I'll handle this.
A lot of ults from NBG's side, and you can see that they've really found a good stride to go with now off the dimensional drip plus Hunter's Fury. SRG, they've seen this before. And Fireball waits for a chance to kill Contract. Mel gets away with it. And Fireball takes down 2 L's in that ult. But this is a new comp for NBG. This is not something they typically play. It's a lot of Jet and not so much of the Yoru ISO, and a different look. It's not been one that's good, as Win tries to get away, uses the ult to barely get out of the aftershock, and can't seem to stabilize as NBG fall 1 by 1 over at the C site.
Oh, but look at where Noya is. Oh, doesn't matter. Hyun is there. And the timings have been caught. SRG has numbers into it, and Dodonut with the ultimate. They're looking to speed up themselves. Mel is still alive critically on top of that.
Dodonut front and center on stage. Knives out. Boy, the swing and no help when smoked off from Garage. We'll have to look both ways before crossing. And he gets the shot through the box after seeing the gun, but that's a 4K from Dodonut. A 9-3 half. Super impressive for SRG.
And Dodonut started off hot. We had kind of a little roller coaster, and it landed exactly into a shop here. Dodonut is cooking things up. They have got themselves a second frag on the board, and especially with this round, right? Hyun was fragging out as the IGL, but you have your duelist popping off. You start to win things through. Nightblood now on the attack. They have a more attack-sided comp. One can argue with the double duelist and the layers of how they push in. So truly the pistol, picking up the pistol and the bonus and trying to convert all that is going to be the key, I would say, for Nightblood Gaming to re-enter into this map.
Scanning ahead.
Long recon, I should say, over at C. Shot down there by Noya. Everything cool. 2-1-2 split for SRG. It's NBG have already used the Yoru clone, some teleport action to get over to C. Established, smoked off. Should be a secure, I was gonna say secure plant, but the spike is on the other side. And you would have loved for Kess to be over there. And now Kess doesn't have a teammate or a duo. And look at all the map control SRG has. This spike is gonna get dropped soon if they're not careful.
They have so much front map control as well. I am worried about this Nightblood Gaming CT control. They literally have spawn. But Dodo is cognizant of it, right? They're like, okay, if we have all of this space, they've got to be somewhere else. C has been empty this entire time.
Okay, well, you made the most out of the situation if you're NBG having to wrap through all the way through defender spawn just to rejoin your spike carrier. Last 30 seconds to get the job done.
30 seconds left.
Cleared everything, smokes in place. It's just a matter of time. And SRG will be coming through the backside, and Allen could get a surprise. But with his duo fireball, they're gonna match up against SRG. And it's Sarah trying to do her best, but NBG just combined their forces to take down the flankers of SRG. Now it's Alexis, flashes, aftershocks, suppressing them, trying to get the defuse halfway. What a well-timed paranoia. And the blinds go through, and BG try to stop the defuse, and it's too little too late.
Fireball gets the 3K good, but at the same time, the pistol's not picked up, and it looked like it was stacked in favor, but unfortunately, it falls apart here. Shopify Rebellion picking it up there. That was insane to see. And yeah, I agree. Mel is the GOAT. Absolutely amazing here, showcasing the true potency, I guess, of their squad in Challengers.
Are we gonna see the timing of that paranoia? Unfortunately not, but if it hit at the perfect frame, perfect second, because that diffuser would have been killed. And now you got a judge in Garage through the ISO shield, through the fire and the flames. Noya does get overwhelmed.
Spike down mid.
And NBG
Noya doesn't need the Secret Service. She is the Secret Service, taking them all down.
She's serving her country all right. NBG have to pivot out of that. And after Garage being failed, after Paranoia came out, you gotta go, okay, Mel doesn't have that anymore, but she still got a gun and it still hurts. Smoked off, doesn't matter. NBG are gonna set up to see if SRG are gonna be eager enough to push past during smoke or after it dissipates.
I mean, Quinn on the other end of it, no HP. They bought up into this for Nightblood to try and find something, but it's stacked in favor of SRG right now. We wanted to see their pacing, them to get faster into the faces and get those fights, and we just don't see the same firepower.
And if you're NBG, you really needed to get a pistol and anti-ego. You really needed to get the ball rolling. And this is an avalanche that NBG want no part of. This will get up to 11. The deficit is insane. This is so difficult to overcome, and maybe needing another timeout just to, at the very least, get the mental in check.
Well, 100%, right? We're going into the, it's going to be a broken bye, but still a bye round for Nightblood here. It's the chance for them to try and sway it into their favor.
I'm in their
perfect
heads.
shout. Oh, you are. I mean, hey, honestly, if you weren't going to call it, I would have said the exact same thing. It's like you kind of have to get into this, and we get a little pip over here. Winthrop versus Ambrosia, with Winthrop currently doing fantastic. 7-4 on their first half. But all in all, just this should be a mental reset for Nightblood Gaming, saying, hey, we have a more aggressive comp. We are on this attacking side. Let's get aggressive, right? Let's take space. We should be, in some cases, you can even say maybe trying a 5-stack, but just the way that they've been playing, you need a mental check. You need Elim to start popping off as well. Getting some more, just, I would say, like, coordination with Hyung and Cass.
And Nightblood not being able to start off on their own map pick, because last week against YFP, it was bind. They went all the way to map 3. And they, Nightblood are on my radar, at least, for how well they pushed YFP to their limit last week. And Shopify Rebellion Gold, I gave them a pass because it's week 1, first time in Challengers. Like, they're no strangers to high-level competition, but they are still a team that is playing around Donut and a new look, and I am a huge fan of what Donut is able to do for any team that she's on. And even you saw VCT Spotlight, how she's able to incorporate with new teammates. SRG with First Blood, Judges, ooh, NBG got to be scared.
I mean, you have a limb is down. How is Hwin to call around this, right? You've already had star player fall. You have a weaker bye here. I mean, they're gone as well, so I guess we're not going to see too many calling.
NBG are scrapping away at A and have taken some of the forces down of SRG. Judge, Outlaw, now a Vandal upgrade for Kess in a 1v3. Spike in hand. Definitely doesn't feel secure enough to plant, but has to go for it. And right behind the timing is there, our president in action.
Very sneaky, sneaky, sneaky.
Point.
And just what a beautiful show for SRG. NBG took a timeout. They had a weaker bye. This, I guess, is the make or break. The role starter. This has to be that round, right?
And my biggest question is, why did Nightblood change to this composition? Like, an ISO Yoru isn't gonna hit the same on defense, and you saw how limited they were on defense because of the lack of utility. Was this to try and, like, ego check SRG? Like, you saw the kill contract of a Sheriff from Fireball versus a Vandal from SRG. Like,
honestly,
they're getting humbled a little bit.
I think it was maybe just, like, to try and, like, play into it. Oh, okay, first found on Noya. So NBG's not out just yet. They're playing a lot more confident in this round on the default rather than a stack. Confidence will be key. Shots will be as well.
Can't get a bigger advantage than this. Well, could get always better, could always be worse. For SRG, they're still split around the map. And the first engagement could easily be Alexis when she hears the spike come in her direction. And with the camera, they know that they'll be safe for now. As SRG just wait, and it's Alexis opens up, and the sidestep from Alum gets away with 2. And you couldn't have asked for more than that from Alexis.
Huge. We even have Sarah available here from Heaven. So for SRG's retake, right, Sarah can stall a little bit, potentially. And Mel's coming in for backup and support. Oh, they got spotted. Really good timings out of NBG. This hold, it's going to be hard to break for these two players, especially with Hwin on the other side. Dang.
Damn, Mel, clinical with it. They're trying to wait out the smoke, seeing
Just
what
the
they
goat.
can hear. And Kess on the off angle. Mel, Sarah, 3, 2, 1. They swing, try to cover both corners, but there's so much to cover when it comes to this site and breaking through the smoke. Good effort from SRG, but a much, much needed win for NBG.
It's a sigh of relief, but the consistency needs to be there. We do see a little bit of a broken buy out of Shopify Rebellion. Noya gonna stick with the Guardian, try and stay alive near the end regardless, but good pace change. The default works out for them, but Alexis, again, talking about these X factors, these wild cards that push through, and we start to see them out of SRG. If you stack a deck with wild cards, eventually some of them are going to land. Playing off this push together, and it's just going to work mildly. Cat's going to stop them, though.
I like the kind of early round swing from SRG, being at a weaponry disadvantage to try and see what you can pick up. And boy, with the neural theft, be able to see where the remaining members are. Gotta expect a garage push, a backside push, but when and where be a question. SRG pop out, and it's a one tap from Dodo Nut, but the Vandal from Fireball is gonna be superior every day of the week.
That's how I'm feeling right now. Just, oh. But that was an eco round. We have 5 ultimates racked up for SRG and weaponry on top of that. Attack op from Dodo Nut, who's been performing. They have the Blade Storm in their back pocket as well. Site takes and retakes. So all together on this defense, I'm having some thoughts here. But I still believe in the momentum shift that Nightblood has started. They've picked 2 rounds up. They have ultimates of their own, and they're going to be playing off of them.
Yeah, you have a lot of ground to make up because this ISO Yoru comp was built for the offense, and it needs to strike. Kill Contract just kidnapped Noya out of the Hunter's Fury. Big win for Fireball, first one of the map. And again, quite a gap in the score for NBG. And the spike is on the other side, so NBG are selling this fake. And SRG will snuff this out eventually. NBG will have time to plant, but they're about to face a storm if Boy doesn't get there in time to help.
More than that, Boy's up in arms here, trying to deny some of these positions out of SRG. Gets one and gets out. They know that the numbers weren't in their favor. The ultimate's still in Alexis's hands, but I think SR called a save here pretty early because they still have rounds to play with on this defense. They don't need to rush in here and continue this economic snowball that Nightblood is starting to stack up here. They don't want to feed ults into these players who've just countered them so well, baited the ults on C, and got in towards the A site.
Especially having that op. Super important for a player like Dodo Nut, and how they've been able to keep guard of C and even A if they wanted to pivot to that. But this is, again, the SRG have a lot of wiggle room because they're at match point, and it's free to take a timeout of how you can really perfect this round with a Rolling Thunder and Neural Theft in their hands.
And Effie's, the efficacy of their timeouts are insane, right? Effie's is probably going to be helping out here with how we use these ultimates. It is looking like a buy up here, a little bit broken as Noya doesn't have the funds, but we could have a glass cannon op out of Dodo Nut potentially as well. On the other side, for Nightblood Gaming, they are starting to build things up. They're playing a lot more confident, not only just shooting back, but just with the reads and the timings against Mel, counter-stratting them pretty solidly.
Oh, we got some Tejo action from our Winthrop Ambrosia match. That's still in map 1, 11-5. I know that was really a contested prediction to make when it comes to the talent. Y'all let us know if you had Winthrop or Ambrosia. I really wasn't sure. Winthrop were definitely on the come up last stage, but a lot of rosters have changed up. So let's see if NBG can pull off a perfect offensive half, because they only have one more chance at doing so. And with the broken buy, as you mentioned, from Shopify Rebellion Gold, there's a chance for NBG to create a good lead.
They filled in some of their gaps. Dodo going to be playing off the Blade Storm as well. Mel with the op. And already finding success.
Didn't even get to see if Fireball just like bought the shield, because usually if you're going to be front and center as the ISO, kind of what a lesson we took out of Kane's era, to have that ISO shield up, it's so good against the op. It still blocks the op shot, and Mel's gotten 2. The duelists are blocking the op shots with their faces. That's not what Valorant taught me.
That's what we call the Mel up, the mop, because they're mopping right now. And they're doing
Oh my God.
I mean, it's honestly like the double find on both the duelists is gonna break up the speed and the momentum that Nightblood have had. Cass looking to bring it back though, doesn't find it.
I was gonna say, Kez, finish off what you started.
There we go.
You like tell Cersei it was me leaving like Noya at 5 HP. Like, all good though. It's now possibly winnable for NBG. Trying to scare down the op from Mel that they thought was still at the back of B, and look where Mel is now. Nowhere to be found. So NBG had to take all this time to re-clear, get info, and take duels where they can, and to take down Alexis. That is a huge boon for them.
You're gonna be able to get the plant down, but Dodo's still inserted into, like, they have space. They have this Blade Storm. Don't find value though. The recovery from Nightblood has been superior, and it's Mel to save this op. I mean, we saw how impactful she was with the op. They don't want to get rid of it here for SRG. And through the timeout, it seems like the strategy was perfect. I feel like maybe the ultimate expended a little fast out of Alexis down towards mid, but regardless, at the very end of the day, we see amazing recovery out of Nightblood.
Yeah, just to steady up. Third one for Mel.
3 kills.
Yep. Now the chase is on to try and deny that op in time, but I don't think NBG got the right sneakers on to make it in time. But SRG post timeout, it's only Mel delivering those kills. These 1v1s not being won there by the defense. So don't trip up over the laces yet, girlies. It's still map 1. It's not over yet.
They found the timing to the retakes, and they found the comfortability that they needed. Just the final bullet on that. Yeah, it was with the movement error as well. Oh, the comedy just writes itself. And the story grows for Nightblood here as they've been drawing these players in.
Oh, when is Dodo not gonna peek? And that is the beauty of the ISO shield. Fireball leads the way, and now can they catch SRG before the escape? The smokes in place will hide their trail, and SRG still lost Noya and Dodo in the process. They just thought they had to scrap. They had their reinforcements. They wanted to take the 3 versus 5, and it doesn't work out for that defense. It is an even playing field, but SRG are playing very split right now, at least with a steady aim. Sarah gets a spike down with the drone, caught off, 1 HP. With a Bucky as your secondary over on Mel's side. Teleporting past the trip. Getting past the defenses of NBG. And Alan was already watching it like a hawk, and this is just not a place you want to play a Bucky at. So...
Ooh.
1 enemy remaining.
To be expected out of them. I like the discipline to hold off, knowing, all right, Mel has the TPs available. I know that my backside's going to be covered. If they peek together, I can swing off of it. And we're seeing, I think you brought this up, Lemon, right? The synergy between these teams, specifically for Nightblood, they're starting to get some of that synergy back, right? Alim is able to trust the rest of their team and the players to work together. Comms are feeling a little cleaner, and they're steadier on the wheel, which is super important when you're trying to surmount a comeback. And slowly and surely, round after round, they're making SRG sweat, and they're making me a believer in the comeback.
And it's a 5-round streak from NBG. And you needed this offense to be perfect. You're running these 2 duelists for a reason. And Fireball going from losing kill contracts to signing them. And then you have Alum leading the way. Fireball too with the shield. And this flank gets caught. Boy, reading it like a book. And this is SRG not able to change things up enough to catch NBG off guard. They were expecting something different.
That just the hold, right? Like, it's like, yeah, aiming control super important. Lobby control super important. Just gonna leave a lurk down there. A 1 for 2 for Boy, and the spike's already planted, so this retake's gonna be so rough. Good protocols though.
Wow, what a combo. Hunter's Fury to protect the spike. NBG buying time. SRG having to funnel through and fight fire with fire. And Alum gets two, and the spike cannot be defused in time.
Just the layers of delay that we saw out of Nightblood Gaming. Ultimate being crucial in preventing them. Keeps the dream alive. 6 found here. And it's another broken buy for Shopify Rebellion. Another timeout invested. Oh my.
Alexis is just a genius. First, you fault line. You know there's 2 players. You know exactly where they are.
Yeah.
Fault line's the one, so they're all lost in the sauce. We were talking about that earlier. And then Aftershocks the Nook, so that they're forced to take that 1v1 while the other player is fault line. This is why Alexis is the GOAT when it comes to initiators.
At the end of the day,
Yeah, I know, it wasn't
defused.
defused, still an L,
the
but...
defuse was there, and it's bringing it back for Nightblood. After coming off of a 9-3 half, I mean, you've got to start giving some sort of like hype to them, because now they're making me a believer that this game can become close. Like, I still can't pick a side, but I'm happy that it's close. I love seeing the competition between them. And just look at this, Elim feeling themselves. The rest of the squad for Nightblood starting to find their footing. They haven't faltered yet. They haven't fallen off.
Now with light shields and sheriffs, 1 hero vandal given to Dodonut. Could be a tough round to surpass for SRG. But again, any denial of these weapons, you need to start doing damage to this economy when it comes to NBG. And they've been just back-to-back hitting the C site. And SRG, when they have these broken buys, they like to just all rush through mid, kind of ARAM style, but it's met with a lot of firepower from the NBG side, left with a 2v2, but a pretty loud Odin and still a Vandal for Boy, as SRG still have their own Vandal, but a split defense of Alexis and Dodonut trying to reunite.
We're gonna hopefully pick up some weapons down here. No, Alexis doesn't grab it. Dodo will be playing off that hero rifle. Break and regroup. Gonna force these players back. Talk about Alexis being the GOAT. I mean, the timing is gonna be great for them. This time, hopefully, they can win the war and the defuse right off of the timeout.
It's just such a good site to hit for an ISO Yoru comp. And SRG are trying different ways from garage through flanks through the A side. Now the spike will be tapped. Can't get it to halfway. Alexis getting up close and personal and denied by the Odin. Roaring at her. And NBG on an insane streak right now.
They're bringing you back on the attacking side. And it's their defaults and hits on C that have really been so much of a trip for SRG and so solid for Nightblood. I mean, 3 of the rounds that they've had within the past 7 was just specifically off of the timing, right? We've seen saves out of Shopify Rebellion, and the other 4 have been frags. They are finding their footing and they're just shooting back. I mean, it's beautiful to see, but Dodonut here has been getting tripped up multiple times with the Yoru.
Now a 7-round win streak. You need SRG to reinforce this C site. That's why you have Mel and Dodonut. If they have to play out of sight, out of mind, they can play off the paranoia. Here's the ISO wall and an Omen teleport from Quinn. And this causes paranoia from SRG to fall back, to not want to get backstabbed, and SRG try to reunite. It will be a 4 versus 4 kill contract, and Dodonut jumping around with the, I think she had the op either way. Strange occurrence in that kill contract, but one that Fireball loves to take. A 3-on-1 as Sarah brings it down to just 2. Spike being planted, recon in, and no pings. Either they're in garage or they're in long. Sarah maybe just off the footsteps heard them go long. There's the jump peak. And Huynh, the paranoia, heard Sarah fall back. With all the util they have left, Sarah can try to use the shock bolts to get a 1v1, and Quinn's gonna decide to take the damage and teleport. And the shock bolt doesn't go into the corner, it goes into the wall and didn't do the damage she was hoping for. And NBG creeping up on that score.
Just go see. Just go see. Just go see.
It's the game plan.
I mean, it's working. We haven't seen a counter for SRG. They tried getting aggro a couple of rounds previously out of a lobby. They tried to do so much in terms of their play style. They've set up Dodo with the op there, but just the protocols that we see out of Nightblood to just flush out potential op spots are so good. And now, I mean, we've been seeing C so often here. The spike leaning down towards mid on the default. I mean, the potential is huge for Nightblood to go anywhere and trip all these players up.
SRG just need one round. And we've said this now 7-8 times in a row, but it's still possible. Rolling Thunder, one hero Vandal, still very good weapons. Like Guardians, like SRG will one tap with them in the right circumstance. So you can't doubt that SRG can close out at any moment now. But in your head, gotta start worrying. Why hasn't it happened yet? NBG firing on all cylinders. Literally, Odin spraying early in the round. And is the C hit gonna happen? SRG already stacking the left side to try and prevent that.
I love how NBG is playing around this C where they're like, we can threaten it. And that's just gonna be the thing that draws them in. Mel, unafraid though towards the A site. And that's gonna change up Nightblood Gaming strategy. This ultimate.
Oh, that will catch the Yoru, and Alum can teleport.
30 seconds
So Alexis, a Rolling Thunder that nets them one kill, and a destructured NBG. And what else? Paranoia just got thrown there from Hwin. They have shock bolts and still a kitted out ISO, ready to catch Alexis. Anti-flash position, Alexis. Aftershock, now in a 1v1 situation for Garage Control. And SRG decides to shy away. They pull the attention towards Garage, so SRG flood in through the backside, and Kess with the Odin kills 3 and makes this way too difficult for SRG. 12-12.
Just go see. Just go see. And the thing is, the craziest part of that entire round in my mind is the fact that SRG started to look a lot cleaner until the very end of C. The C retake was just difficult for them. Labored. Kess with this Odin is just on point. The 3K to be found on the site, and the way that they've brought this back, especially with early on when we expected SR to take this game, and the 3 that they found at the very beginning of this half, the fact that we see an undefeated 9 rounds in a row picked up is beautiful for Nightblood.
Insane for SRG. They've gone to overtime before against Trusted Plug last week, ended 14-12, not in their favor on Pearls. So can they steady their nerves? It's a forward push from NBG, but there was a flanker that caught them before, and it's punished as Mel picks up the 2. It's a 2-lady advantage from SRG on their offense to head towards C, but there's Trip standing in their way, and Boy tries to hide and cover. Now SRG have covered their footsteps, their trail off that jet smoke.
There it is, the potential rotate coming out. I mean, at this point, you only have 2 players, so whichever site they hit is going to be an advantage, but SRG does not want to go into the Cypher trip, right? The Cypher setup towards the C site is not their forte. If Nightblood Gaming is just go C for Shopify Rebellion, they are a little bit more cerebral. They work the map, and just go A and avoid the trips is what they're going to go for, but they're going to find Kess with an Odin.
Already won, but Mel responds, will not shy away from the Odin. Kess has been huge in the past, finally gets denied. And this Boy in a 1v3 has to show up, and in the middle of the aftershock goes for a play, and it's SRG winning their offense. Now we've seen that many of times. It's the defense. That's what SRG need to close out on.
I mean, they've been having a hard time during the rifles. They picked up the pistol, the anti, and the bonus, but the rifles were truly the crux of they were the Achilles heel for SRG. I like that double out of Mel to have the cognizance to be with Noya in that moment. Noya falls, you go and clear the gap. I mean, for both teams, right? Their defense has been the weak point. So it's a matter of who can get the better defense, right?
SRG hiding in the smoke around the corner. Good map control. C open with just trips. SRG deciding we can't prevent C, but we can try to retake it. And Mel, stuck on the box, has to cross all the way over and can't get to a safe spot. But maybe to set up Noya for success. But too many cooks in the kitchen. NBG will get a plant over at C, and this has been the kryptonite to SRG's success on defense.
I was just about to say, the C counter needs to be set up here.
Alexis starts off with garage control, and now you can provide many angles of assault for this retake, starting with the smoke being dissipated, flash and recon for SRG to get information. They did just hear the teleport, so besides checking for any corner lurkers, SRG know it's the long game. Literally, the defuse gets halfway, won't be stuck. SRG got revealed by the recon, and it's Alum with 3 this round to clutch up and deny it from SRG.
We go from the pinging meta in smoke, some spam towards long, to having the just information and flash overload with a limbs just flashing and fragging, and then you have more and more layers. And I think that's what's the truly annoying part about C, is that I think you need to have Mel alive in that moment to smoke it off so you can just get the defuse off, right? Mm-hmm. You have that cover to get the defuse.
Both teams 9-3 on their offensive rounds, and Alum, come on. It's all there for you, and now it's gone. You had your chance, your one opportunity. Now SRG, very aware, using their ears. There's a very scary op on that side, and maybe to not mess with it. So they'll start to re-clear through mid.
Closed.
And again, the weakness has been this defensive side for both teams. Kess has been so good with this. Odin, a limb with the op down towards A. I'm out of control out of Nightblood Gaming here in terms of map control. We need to see the re-clears, and SRG has started that. The fault line is going to give them some space.
That's tough. SRG are trying to conserve all the util they can for the post plan, and now wishes they had used the Alexis flash to get into the site. And SRG are down to nothing, and this was their offensive round. They're going back to defense. This was a 9-3 lead for SRG that could possibly crumble in front of their eyes if they don't stop this NBG offense.
It's do or die, and a timeout called immediately to prevent the bleeding, to stop it. But at this point, it seems like from the day to the night, you have yourself a story, a comeback for a team that managed to upset, at least by one map, YFP. And YFP is just riddled with tier 1 and tier 2 talents alike. And now they're here in this, pushing the envelope against SRG, who made history. This is an insane storyline, Lemon, and I am just so ecstatic. It's electric to see. Even though, I mean, my predictions might not be right, but regardless, the way that Nightblood is playing right now is phenomenal. Even if it is a little bit formulaic of just going C, it works, and that's what matters.
Nightblood, they were up, what, 10-2 against YFP on Pearl, and then that got a little close there on the second half. Then NBG had a 6-6 half against YFP on Vines, so doing a comeback like this is really impressive, considering it takes a lot of experience. It takes a certain maturity to look at a 9-3 scoreline and go, yeah, I'd win. You know,
Oh my God.
like, it's crazy.
If I could, I would make an Icebox report on 9-3 scorelines just for the memes. But the comeback is just making it that much more interesting.
Donut creeps around the corner, catches the barrel in a one-and-done spot. Can't do more but deliver the 1-for-1. And will this be enough for SRG as they're now split 2-2 around the perimeter of the map, and Spike on its way to A.
That's the key, I would say, is that it's on its way to A. They've proven a lot better on the A site than on C.
Oh boy! Just Sarah capitalized on the initial flash from Alexis.
Oh, wait.
But Fireball gets the last laugh. It's 3 versus 2, match point for NBG. And this is on Shopify Rebellion Gold's map pick. Pearl coming up next. And this has gone the very distance. Tess extremely low. Noya susses it out. Playing field equal. Plant won't be successful as NBG are dodging. They're going to B.
They're going to
30
C.
seconds left.
Oh no, they are going. I thought they were going to C. I was like, that would be insane. Just go C, brought literally to life yet again. The B call for the plant fast makes sense. Trips up Mel just a little bit as well as Noya.
Kill contract 2 for Fireball. You're not even needing it. Oh my God, Mel, that was quick. Oh, Noya was there too. Okay, they're playing together. And now 2 versus 1 to even up the score. Up in the corner, Quinn for the win and can't do it. Mel clutches up for the squad and keeps them still in it.
Is this? I mean, I don't know if this is one of the first times we've seen Mel alive in the retake scenario. I mean, definitely not, but
Switching sides. Overtime.
just cool. Yeah, like the breath, right? Because yeah, I feel like if they went C there, it still might have been just as close, but I think I almost half expected them to end it on C with how they've been playing. There we see some of the timings being spotted. I don't know if they saw Noya near the very end there, but regardless, they keep themselves one into it. The retake on B working for SRG, and now they're back on attack. Seen both teams win their defensive sides. The changes are there.
That's an important point.
is.
Both teams won their defensive side, and it was very, very, very close. Now, SRG don't have Sarah, and they have Donut at 16 HP. Not what they were hoping for, but hope to break into C. Already carving out through Garage in the corner is Boy. Has to try and delay this with a Fireball swing around the corner. Could set this round ablaze, and it's Fireball that drops. And Donut watches. I don't know if they may have already sussed out this Cypher, and especially now with these steps, Boy's presence has been known, and Huin made it in time to at least trade. And it's a 2v2 yet again. And not safe enough to plant. They tried to bait NBG to front face, and it's Kess with Odin against Alexis, who has still not been able to plant. With 40 seconds, she can play the mind games, wrap through a Garage, try to get around, or even just exit. But right on her tail is Kess. And I think you may have just heard Alexis run away.
left.
So Kess, it's fine letting her plant. Could just play for retake.
Kess has all the utility in the world still. Alexis is just going to have a fault line to play off in the post plant. We already start to see some of that utility being used. Catches
the
one
ping.
off.
The fault line, the rolling thunder, when Kess could have gotten that kill off the ping of his recon, wasn't shot in time, drone right corner. Now Alexis has to be ready. The jig is up, the 1v1, it's a clutch for Alexis, and she tells him how it's done.
I was so focused on the new map, I didn't even catch the rolling thunder, which was so crucial in that clutch for Alexis. It brought it back. And winning on the attack, SRG, they did manage to win previously on the defense. We don't see Nightblood going for a timeout. I'm just shocked and ecstatic to see this round play out. Because, I mean, are we going to see the same strategy of just go C and hope that that's going to work? Is there going to be some more layers like we saw previously when they went towards the A site? Because they lost when they went towards the A site. That was the one round on the attack that they could not succeed on, was when they went and favored A over their patented C push.
Standing ahead.
Uh-oh, but SRG have lost vision of Garage. This gets the attention of SRG to pivot from C to watching that doorway. And this can crunch NBG if they walk into this trap. Now there's also pings of
Portal closed.
they just read Fireball in the middle of the map, looking at B. That's been smoked off. SRG just on prevention protocol.
Time to jump.
Oh, man. And the lean back towards A is an interesting call. They do have a limb down towards C, probably to try and fake it almost, because it hopefully will set off some alarm bells for SRG.
Down.
No way to find them. But look who's still stuck towards the A site. Smelling Alexis.
Is on top of the box. SRG with the denial, and Mel gets to go into cover off her own smoke. There's a ping as SRG now just has to hose down the party, and NBG have nothing left. SRG better late than never. They will take Haven.
Oh my gosh. But that was insane how long it went. And the gaps, you could see, right? SRG very comfortable, but C seeming to be sort of lacking. Begs the question, for other teams of like, how strong is this new SRG roster on Haven specifically with some of their retakes? Honestly, though, I will say, I'll fall back.
I'm so zoomed in for some reason.
That's okay.
Hello.
No, I'll pull up a little bit. I'll pull up a little bit more, just because honestly, it was such an intense game. It was the mind games that we've been seeing as well. And near the end, I think kind of the funniest aspect of it was the fact that Jesco C was working. They went A and they lost.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny to see how that goes, because eventually you would assume Jesco C will stop functioning, but it didn't. They won 9 rounds in a row. They got the 9-3 half on the flip side. They managed to bring it back, especially because the first 3 rounds were picked up by SRG. So I don't even know. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
I really want to hear the analysts talk about it more than anything, right?
What an amazing window for Shopify Rebellion Gold, especially like you pointed out, having Mel in the post flank, critical, Alexis, her clutch ability, but also Nightblood's resilience to come back from that 9-3 deficit to push us into overtime. But it is series point for Shopify Rebellion. We've got Pro coming up next, but first let's hear from the desk. We'll see you after this.
I feel like in open tournaments, even teams that are, more inexperienced and haven't been together as long are all like clawing to be the best team and to win. I feel like the energy is like everybody's trying to be the absolute best. So that is something I feel is a little bit different than Game Changers, because there isn't a lot of Game Changers teams at the moment. So it's hard to field that kind of competitive environment when there's just so few teams right now. So playing in open tournaments, I feel like we kind of get that sort of push for us to be even more competitive and for us to try even harder against these teams who are also trying just as hard. I feel like this is not a diss to Floor, because obviously Floor is just the best Game Changers player to exist. But I feel like we're more well-rounded as a team because it's not solely focused on setting up Floor now, where it's more so everyone on the team has an opportunity to pop off. Obviously Karn is insane and she's still a pop-off duelist for sure. But I think it made everybody else think, okay, I need to step up and I need to be able to, frag out a bit more to fill Floor's shoes, essentially. To be in Challengers, it feels like my entire career and my team's entire career, I've kind of led up to this. It feels like this is always what we've been working towards. So honestly, at first it was a little anticlimactic because it was like, oh, well, we did it. Now what? So to be able to compete in these matches and play against better competition, it's honestly really fun more than anything, but also it is like a breath of fresh air to be able to play against new players and new teams and all that. Honestly, my only expectation for us is for us to do our best, and if we do that, then I'm happy, to be honest. I'm not going to set a super high goal or expectation. I just want us to do our best, to be honest.